So it's well known that Telstra has the best network in Australia, but Telstra is also known as the most expensive network. That's why some people consider going with an MVNO, mobile virtual network, or the Telstra network. But you may have heard about the Telstra network and the wholesale network, but you may not know what the difference is between the Telstra network and the wholesale network. Well, in this video I will explain. So let's get started. Hi, it's Olu from Phone with you. The two different Telstra networks. What is the difference between the two? Well, in short, the difference between the Telstra network and the wholesale network is that the Telstra network is Telstra's own network, whereas the Telstra wholesale network is a separate network with less coverage and slower speeds than the main Telstra network. So that sounds all nice and interesting, but what is the actual difference between the two? So first I actually have to explain what an MVNO is, or a mobile virtual network operator, to give you an idea why certain operators that use a Telstra network are cheaper than Telstra themselves. A mobile virtual network operator, which I would just say MVNO from now on, is a company or an operator that uses the network of one of the main operators in a particular country. In the case of Australia, we have four operators, which are Telstra, Optus and Vodafone Australia. Since 2019 you also have TPG, but they're not really that big in the mobile market yet, so I just call the three big operators. But you have probably noticed that if you go to a Woolworths store or a Big W, Calls, you'll see many more SIM cards that you can choose from if you're looking for a prepaid or hybrid postpaid plan. Everybody else except Telstra, Optus and Vodafone Australia, those are MVNOs. So let's say if you look at the picture like this, where we see Belong, we see Boost Mobile, we see eSIM, we see Labawa like a mobile. Those are all mobile virtual network operators that use the network of Telstra, Optus or Vodafone Australia. So they don't have their own networks in Australia. So what's the benefit of going with an MVNO? If you get the SIM card from an MVNO, you will often be charged lower rates than going directly with the main operator. So let's say if you go with Labawa Australia, for example, they use the Telstra network, you will see that Labawa's prices are often much more competitive compared to the ones of Telstra. That's because most MVNOs are literally virtual, meaning that they don't have actual stores that you can visit, which applies to Labawa in this case as well. You could just buy the SIM cards from retailers, whereas Telstra, they have many stores around the place, and they have to maintain the antennas and the coverage, whereas Labawa doesn't have to do that. They pay Telstra to do that. So what's the difference with going with the main operator and MVNO? Well, usually main operators, they somewhat restrict access to their network. For example, they may offer lower speeds for those who use the MVNO, or the MVNOs may have worse coverage compared to the main operators themselves, or the main operator restricts access to the newest technology. For example, 5G is already being rolled out in some places in Australia, while the MVNOs, they won't have access to 5G anytime soon. Or when the operators upgraded from 4G to 4.5G, for example, then the MVNOs were still on 4G, and some of them were actually still using 3G until like 1 year ago or 2 years ago. Alright, so now that we know what the MVNO is and the difference between the main operators, now it's time to talk about the different Telstra network. So the Telstra main network, I call it, and the Telstra wholesale network. So the Telstra main network is Telstra's own network, as the name implies, meaning that when we talk about Telstra's amazing coverage and speeds, that's just with the Telstra network. Every MVNO except for Boost Mobile, they have access to the Telstra wholesale network. And if you look at the picture that I'm showing you on the screen, I've now shown you the Telstra main network and the Telstra wholesale network. You will see that the coverage in rural Australia / the outback is much worse than with the Telstra network, the main network. But when you look at the percentages that these both networks cover of the Australian population, you see that the difference is quite minuscule. But remember, we're talking about population coverage, not landmass coverage. So that's just coverage. What about speeds? Well, based on my own experiences, you can get fast speeds with Telstra themselves. My speed test was sold with Telstra, which was about 250 megabits per second, I think 347 point something, which I'm showing you on the screen. That was the highest speed that I actually got on 4G for a very long time, until I went to Taiwan and one of the operators, they smashed the record, which I'm showing you on the screen as well, and that was on Telstra prepaid. Some operators actually deprioritize the speeds of prepaid customers. So what about the MVNOs using the wholesale network? Well, based on my experiences again, none of the operators could get a higher download speed than 100 megabits per second. Okay, there was like one time that I got download speed of like 102 megabits per second, but I think that was a mistake. But yeah, you can see that those using the wholesale network will have slower speeds. Earlier I mentioned that Boost Mobile has access to the full Telstra network. Why? I do not know, but if you go with Boost Mobile, you will actually get faster speeds than 100 megabits per second, depending on your location and stuff like that, because many factors influence that. But any other Telstra MVNO, you will have to deal with slower speeds up to 100 megabits per second and coverage that is lower as well. But you can still enjoy the amazing Telstra network to some extent at much slower speeds, at much lower rates than Telstra will charge you. So, as I mentioned earlier, there are many MVNOs in Australia. You may be wondering, well, which operators or which MVNOs use the Telstra network? Well, I will tell you right now. Aldi Mobile, OC Broadband, Barefoot Telecom, Better Life Mobile, Belong Mobile, Boost Mobile, C-Mobile/Blue Plans, Life Mobile, Leica Mobile, Mate, Taylor Choice, Think Mobile, although Think Mobile also uses the Vodafone network for some reason, Woolworths Mobile, and Zero. The operators that I just mentioned are more prepaid operators, so that they offer prepaid services, and postpaid only, so they only offer postpaid. So that's the difference between the full Telstra network and the wholesale network. If you have an MVNO using the wholesale network, as I mentioned earlier, do not expect 5G anytime soon, because it will take a while before you can get access to the 5G network. Plus Telstra and the other Australian operators are still rolling out 5G at the time of recording, so it will take a while before you will get access to that with one of the MVNOs. Maybe Boost Mobile will get it first as one of the MVNOs, but we will see. If you're planning on getting yourself a prepaid SIM card of an MVNO using the Telstra network, you may want to watch this playlist up here where I just talk about the Telstra MVNOs. If you want to learn more about Telstra themselves, I also have a review like that. In the beginning of the video I mentioned that Telstra is the best, or has the best coverage in Australia, but does that also mean that they are the best operator in Australia? Well, you can watch this comparison video up there where I took the 3 operators to the test, at least the prepaid line. And yeah, those are some relevant videos. Once again, I'm Otto for Phone Travelers, where I talk about everything related to traveling with your phone. But some videos, especially the reviews, can also be relevant for locals who are trying to get themselves a new SIM card, or the first SIM card for that matter. So I highly recommend you to subscribe, regardless if you're a traveler or somebody who's just interested in, well, SIM cards, like me, but I'm like next level into SIM cards. I'd recommend you to sign up for my newsletter at phonetours.com/newsletter, where you get an Excel sheet of the best SIM cards in over 230 destinations, which gets updated once a month. That's it for today, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.